no one can explain it. Around the world there are scary, ancient paintings that leave scientists extremely shocked. And today, you will learn about each of these works that literally no one can explain. Are you curious? Join us, and let's go. Number 19. St. Roch's Worm. In 2017, during a meticulous investigation of a historical painting, scientists uncovered a disturbing detail about St. Roch, a 14th century French saint. The painting revealed something beyond traditional medical accounts. A leg wound that didn't match typical plague representations. Unlike the standard depictions of plague buboes, the artwork showed a visceral and unsettling element, a white filament oozing from the wound, challenging conventional interpretations. After careful analysis, they identified what was possibly the oldest representation of the Dracunculus medinensis parasite, popularly known as the guinea worm, an organism with truly horrifying characteristics. The parasite's life cycle follows a macabre path. Its tiny larvae penetrate the human body through contaminated water, remaining silent for a year. Then they emerge brutally, breaking through the skin and revealing a worm that can reach an incredible 1 meter in length. This would explain how a medieval artist could have witnessed or obtained information about this terrible condition. Interestingly, historical records suggest possible biblical connections to this parasite. The fiery serpents mentioned during the Israelites' exodus from Egypt could actually represent manifestations of Dracunculus medinensis infestations, which were abundant in the Middle East at that time. Number 18. Magdalena Ventura with husband and son. Giuseppe de Ribera created one of the most intriguing paintings in the history of art in 1631. At first glance, it appears to depict two men and a child, but in reality, it depicts Magdalena Ventura, her husband and son. Magdalena developed a thick beard at the age of 52 due to a rare medical condition, likely caused by hormonal imbalances. In an era marked by rigid gender norms, Ribera's depiction defies convention by showing Magdalena breastfeeding her son while sporting a thick beard. The Duke of Alcalá, who commissioned the work, described it as a marvel of nature. The artist depicted Magdalena with remarkable clinical accuracy, documenting her unique condition without sensationalism. Number 17. Saturn devouring his son. Francisco Goya created one of the most disturbing paintings in the history of art in his series Black Paintings. The work depicts Saturn, the titan of Roman mythology, in a brutal act of cannibalism, devouring one of his sons. Painted directly on the walls of his home in the early 19th century, the work reflects Goya's troubled mental state during his final years. The artist, nearly deaf and deeply affected by the horrors of war and political instability in Spain, produced this series in complete isolation. The depiction is particularly shocking. Saturn appears with bulging eyes and a frenzied expression, differing drastically from classical representations of the myth. The partially devoured body, the Titan's bulging eyes, and the explicit violence of the scene create an atmosphere of intense psychological horror. I have a question for you. First, I'd like to tell you that it's possible to keep up with the biggest curiosities of our world every day. But for that, you need to be subscribed to our channel. So have you subscribed yet? If not, take the opportunity to subscribe now. Now that you've done that, let's go. Number 16. Madonna with San Giovannino and the Flying Object. This Renaissance work features an element that defies conventional explanation. In the main scene, we see the Virgin Mary with the baby Jesus and St. John the Baptist, but the real mystery lies in the sky. A bright, disc-shaped object floats above the landscape, while a man and his dog watch it in obvious amazement. The object emits rays of light and has a shape that is strikingly reminiscent of modern descriptions of UFOs. Recent spectrographic analysis has revealed that the artist used a unique technique to create the object's luminous effect, employing a mixture of pigments that was not common at the time. Number 15. Rock art of Tassili N'Ajjer. In the heart of the Sahara Desert, covering a vast area of 72,000 square kilometers, lies one of the most extraordinary collections of rock art in the world. Dating back 10,000 years, the paintings of Tassili N'Ajjer depict a world completely different from the desert we know today. Among the numerous figures that cover the rock walls, enigmatic representations stand out that defy any scientific explanation. One of the most intriguing shows an imposing figure with a disproportionately large and elongated head, muscular arms, and an athletic body, holding an unidentified object. Archaeologists and historians remain perplexed by these representations that seem to mix human features with completely unknown elements. The artistic quality and level of detail of these paintings are surprisingly advanced for their time. Number 14. Picasso's Blue Guitarist. Painted in 1903, during Pablo Picasso's Blue Period, the old guitarist hides a fascinating secret. Through X-ray analysis and modern technology, it was discovered that beneath the surface lies a completely different composition. The face of a mysterious woman and several other figures were detected beneath the visible layer of the painting. Experts identified up to 5 distinct layers of paint, each containing unique and unexplained elements. The chemical composition of the lower layers reveals the use of pigments that were unknown in Europe at the time. Number 13. The enigmatic Wandjina. In the rugged landscapes of the Kimberley, Australia, are the mysterious Wandjina figures. Ancient beings depicted with glowing white faces, piercing black eyes, and elaborate halos around their heads. Dating back approximately 4,000 years, these paintings are considered sacred by Aboriginal Australians, who believe the Wandjina descended from the Milky Way during the Dreamtime. The most intriguing feature of these figures is the complete absence of mouths on their faces. The paintings use a unique combination of natural pigments, black, red, and yellow on a white background, creating a dramatic contrast that has survived for millennia. Only specially selected artists from within Aboriginal communities are allowed to restore or retouch these sacred works. Number 12. The Missing Concert. Johannes Vermeer's The Concert is not only a masterpiece of the Dutch Golden Age, it is also the center of one of the greatest mysteries in art history. Valued at $250 million, this painting was stolen from the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum in Boston in 1990 during a daring heist that lasted 81 minutes. 2 thieves, disguised as police officers, made off with 13 works of art, but The Concert remains the most valuable painting ever recovered. The painting depicts 3 musicians in an intimate moment of performance. A young woman on the harpsichord, a man playing the lute, and a singer. Vermeer's delicate work with light and shadow in this particular work makes it particularly special. 3 decades later, despite a $10 million reward, the painting's whereabouts remain unknown. Number 11. Comb-shaped paintings of Patagonia. In the most remote region of Patagonia, scientists have discovered a fascinating set of cave paintings that have revolutionized our understanding of ancient art in South America. Created more than 8,200 years ago, these mysterious comb-shaped figures represent the oldest example of pigment-based cave art ever found on the continent. The site is home to approximately 900 distinct paintings, all executed with a carbonized plant pigment that has survived for millennia. Most intriguingly, these peculiar shapes were repeatedly painted over 3,000 years by different generations, suggesting a deep cultural meaning that has been lost to time. Number 10. The Terrifying Cat Lady. In 1907, George Van Rosen created one of the most disturbing works in the history of art, The Cat Lady. This peculiar painting presents an unsettling fusion of human and feline, with the face of a woman grafted onto the body of a lioness. The bizarre proportions and disturbing composition have made this work one of the most enigmatic examples of early 20th century art. The technique used to create this fusion is extraordinarily realistic, making the image even more unsettling. The creature's eyes appear to follow the viewer, creating a sense of unease that lingers long after the first encounter with the work. Number 9. The UFO at the Baptism of Christ. In Eert de Gelder's The Baptism of Christ, a circular, luminous object hovers above the sacred scene, emitting rays of light that bathe Jesus during his baptism. This unusual element has intrigued researchers and enthusiasts for centuries. The object, which bears a striking resemblance to a modern UFO, is completely at odds with traditional depictions of the Holy Spirit in Christian art. The technical precision with which de Gelder depicted the object, including details of its structure and the pattern of light emission, has fueled debate about its true nature and meaning. Number 8. The Garden of Earthly Delights. Hieronymus Bosch's triptych, painted between 1490 and 1510, is one of the most enigmatic works ever created. Each panel of this work presents its own world of fantastical creatures and surreal scenes that defy interpretation. In the central panel, humans interact with giant birds, flying fish, and colossal fruits in a dreamlike landscape. The complexity of the symbols and the bizarre nature of the images have baffled scholars for centuries. Particularly intriguing are the biomechanical structures that appear to anticipate modern art by hundreds of years, and the hybrid creatures that resemble nothing known in nature or traditional medieval art. Number 7. The Book of Vices by St. Augustine. In 1475, Austrian painter Michael Packer created one of the most disturbing works in the history of religious art. The painting depicts an extraordinary encounter between St. Augustine and a demonic creature carrying a mysterious book. The demon, depicted with grotesque features and a menacing presence, presents Augustine with a grimoire containing all of human sins. The work captures the exact moment when Augustine discovers that his only recorded sin was forgetting to say his nightly prayers. The technique used to depict the demon is particularly intriguing, as it uses pigments that were rare for the time, the origin of which remains unknown to experts in medieval art. Number 6. The Celestial Phenomenon of Nuremberg. On April 14, 1561, an extraordinary event was documented in an engraving depicting the skies over Nuremberg, Germany. Hans Glasser, a local printer, recorded an unprecedented celestial spectacle. Objects of different shapes and sizes, including cylinders, spheres, and crosses, apparently engaged in an aerial battle. The engraving shows meticulous detail of the geometric formations and patterns of movement of the objects. Modern studies of the chemical composition of the inks used indicate that Glasser employed specific materials to represent different types of luminosity, suggesting an attempt to document distinct phenomena with scientific accuracy. Number 5. Salvator Mundi. Leonardo da Vinci's Salvator Mundi has a history steeped in mystery and controversy. This Renaissance work, which depicts Christ as the savior of the world, was lost for centuries until its rediscovery in 2005, when it was purchased for just $1,175 at auction. After a painstaking restoration, the painting became the most expensive work ever sold, selling for $450.3 million in 2017. However, the most intriguing detail is the crystal orb that Christ holds. It does not reflect light as it should. Given da Vinci's extensive studies in optics, this apparent technical error has led experts to question its authenticity. Number 4. The Spaceships at the Crucifixion. The Visoki Dechani Monastery in Kosovo is home to a medieval fresco that has intrigued scholars for centuries. The fresco depicts the crucifixion of Christ and features two enigmatic figures that resemble spaceships. These spaceships have intricate structural details, including what appear to be thrusters and observation windows. Microscopic analysis has revealed that the artist used advanced perspective techniques unusual for medieval times, especially in depicting these flying objects. Number 3. Perugino's Miracle of the Snow. In Rome, an extraordinary painting by Pietro Perugino depicts a miraculous event that supposedly occurred in the 4th century. The work, created between 1472 and 1474, documents the famous miracle of the snow when an unlikely summer snowstorm covered the Esquiline Hill. However, the mysterious details of the painting have puzzled modern researchers. Sharp-eyed observers have noticed that the gray objects in the sky, traditionally interpreted as clouds or snowflakes, bear a disturbing resemblance to unidentified flying objects. Number 2. The Portrait of Eleanor Antin. This contemporary work, created in 1971, presents a modern mystery that defies conventional logic. The portrait shows the artist in a traditional pose, but subtle elements in the composition appear to violate the laws of physics. Shadows fall in impossible directions, and reflections in the mirror in the background show angles that do not correspond to the position of the main figure. Eleanor Antin intentionally incorporated these anomalies, creating a visual puzzle that continues to intrigue viewers. Technical analysis has confirmed that the work was not digitally manipulated, making its physical impossibilities all the more perplexing. Antin's masterful use of traditional painting techniques to create effects that seem to defy reality established a new paradigm in contemporary art. Number 1. The Night Watch and its Hidden Crime. Rembrandt van Ryn's masterpiece, The Night Watch, hides much more than meets the eye. Created in 1642, this monumental painting does not depict a night scene, as its name suggests, and was drastically modified in 1715 when its edges were cut to fit between two columns. The real mystery, however, lies in the composition's shadowy details. The contrast between Captain Frans Banning Kock, dressed in black with a red sash, and his lieutenant Willem van Ruytenberg in bright yellow, may indicate a hidden conspiracy. A mysterious figure in the shadows appears to be reaching out toward van Ruytenberg, while the position of the officer's hands, one pointing down, the other up, suggests an impending conflict. Historians speculate that Rembrandt may have captured evidence of a planned crime. Now I want to know from you, which of these paintings shocked you the most? And speaking of shock, I'm going to make you a special invitation. Are you seeing this video that is appearing on the screen? I separated it especially for you, so click now to check it out. Well, that's it, and until next time, curious one.